Hey everyone, welcome to Greenpointe, and this is another one of our great how-to videos. Today we're going to go through and talk about how to snowplow finish on a floor. We've got our little sample panel here that we're going to put a little bit of Pallman power on. And one thing about floor finish, this is a water base. The water base and oil base, you got to make sure you stir it up good. The water base you shake up really good. The oil base comes in a can, so it's really easy to get a stick in there and stir it up. If you're getting into satin and matte finishes, it's really important to stir them up because that way the sheen will be the same through the top and the bottom of the gallon. So because this is water base, I'll shake it up really good. I've already shaken it really well, so I don't need to do the full minute or two. But after you shake it really good, you do want to let the bubbles settle out. Usually it takes about 10 to 20 minutes. But once the bubbles go away, you're ready to spread finish. Once I go through and mix up my gallons and shake them up, that usually gives me that 20 minutes or 15 minutes to kind of finish prepping, get myself set up with a little area to do my to bring my finish up to. So I've got some place to put, like a garbage bag, some rags, things like that, in case I wind up with a little bit of extra. I got an extra bag to put my applicator in, so I'm not dripping finish through the rest of the house to get outside to my van. That kind of thing. So today we're going to do a snowplow method, and so to do a snowplow method, you dump a puddle of finish the full length of the room, so all the way from one end wall to the other. And the applicator we're using today is the Apex 10-inch wide, 4-inch by 10-inch. It's that foam pad with little nylon bristles on there. Works really well. Works great for residential. They do make round T-bar applicators all the way from 12-inch up to 30-inch, which those work great for big wide open rooms, like gymnasiums, things like that. But the nice thing about this in residential is you can use the same pad to cut into your closets, around your door jambs, all the little tight areas, as well as the main part of the floor. If you're using a big T-bar type applicator, then you have to have a separate applicator to tie in and cut in around the door frames, small areas like closets, things like that. So we're going to get this thing sopped up, a little bit of finish. That foam does take a little bit to get saturated. So once we do, then the idea about a snowplow is that you have the applicator at a slight angle, and as you go across the floor, so if I have it square to the room like that, and as I go along, what happens is I have finish going off both sides of the applicator. But if I angle it like this and then go through my puddle here, then it only comes off the leading side towards me. And that's exactly what you want it to do. And you go all the way from one end of the room to the other. And then once you get kind of going, you can kind of adjust the angles. Notice I've got more on one end of the room than the other. I can flatten it out a little bit and drag more down to this end. We're almost getting down to where you can see a little bit of that puddle left, but I'm going to want to dump a little bit more finish on the floor. So one important thing is if you are going to add more finish and you're doing it by yourself, don't walk, especially truly very important on a raw wood floor when you're doing your first coat. You don't want to walk halfway across the room and then lean this up against the wall, because what will happen is you'll leave a finish line right there. You can see there's finish that puddled up there. That will leave a mark on your floor. So just leave your applicator pad leaned up at the wall right at your puddle, and then you can dump more finish down. Don't have any walls here, so we're going to cheat a little bit. One good thing about, you do have a little bit of open time with your finish. If you do have the luxury of having a helper, then the helper can be back. They can be the one helping to dump out finish when you need it. And then while they're waiting to dump out more finish, they can get back in the room and get the glare of light across the floor. And they're going to be looking for drips, puddles, debris, anything like that. So if I add a little something on the floor, I can pick it out of there. And then, because I haven't gone too far, I can feather it out, and we're good to go. So you can kind of fix things as you go. Oops. The one thing is that eventually you're going to run out of room, and we're going to pretend that our door is right here. So to finish off the rest of the room, you can do a little, I've got a pretty good puddle right here, but you can do the push-pull method, and this is the only place you're going to want to do it. Because the reason why the push-pull method, you do it over the whole floor is because you're kind of over-agitating the finish, and it'll start to bubble. And so when you do a push-pull method, you're just kind of gently spreading the finish out. You get it covered. And then, this is important, you got to squeeze out the excess, because when you reach out here to kind of pull it out and feather it out, if I didn't squeeze out the excess when I put the applicator down on the floor, it would leave a puddle right there. So I probably don't need to, but if you needed to add a little bit of finish, then you can do a little puddle there. It's way easier to add a little finish than it is to try to figure out what to do with a big huge puddle of finish when I get to my door. So anytime you're doing the whether you're doing the snowplow or doing the push-pull method, it's important that you don't push down on the applicator too much. On all the jugs of finish, they'll have a recommended coverage rate. This one happens to be about 500 square feet a gallon. Some of them can be like 4 to 450. You can certainly stretch it out much farther than that, but you're not leaving the proper mils of finish on the floor for protection. And so most all floor finishes, you just have maybe a pound of pressure on it, and that's it. If you get into oil-based finishes, then they are a little thicker sometimes, so you have to put a little bit of pressure down on it, but not any more than maybe 2 or 3 pounds. So it's just kind of a light touch. The main thing is really good floor finish. The professional type floor finishes have really good defoaming agents in there to make, if it does bubble up, that the bubbles will go away before it dries. The other thing that's going to have is really good self-levelers in there, which is really, really important, because not everybody's going to have an absolutely perfect coat. They might leave a little ridge or a little puddle or something like that on the floor. As long as it's not excessive, a good floor finish will flow out before it dries. And so basically the idea is you get it spread out nice and even without over agitating it, and the finish does the rest. So it's one of the great advantages of spending the extra money for good finish is it works. It does have to work for you, basically. So anyway, we about got this wrapped up, and all we need to do is do another coat, let that dry, and then screen it and do our final coat, and we're good to go. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe and like. Thanks.